Hello, this video is going to be covering how to set up your pocket style manual textbook for success in MLA and APA. For this video, to be able to follow along, you will need your manual. You will need some Post-its. I would recommend these little flags. They're the best ones for this little activity because the book is really small. We don't have a lot of space, but honestly, you can use whatever size you want. A pencil would also be a good idea. Before we get started, I'd like to say that if my throat gets a little dry or my voice gets a little raspy, I'm slightly under the weather right now. But we will move ahead, okay? So the first thing we need to do is realize that this textbook actually has formatting help for 4 styles of citation: MLA, APA, Chicago, and CSE. Now, in TAMIU's first-year writing program, you will cover MLA and APA. We do not cover Chicago or CSE. However, these formats are in this book. So this book is actually a really good investment because as you go to future courses, and if that professor asks for Chicago formatting or CSE formatting, we can't just tell the professor, well, I don't know how to do that, right? We have to give the professor what they want. So this book would be a great resource for you. I would highly recommend not selling this book back if you don't have to, and keeping it as a resource for future courses to make sure that you give the professors the formatting styles that they require. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go straight to the MLA section of the textbook, which starts on page 104. You'll see a red section here, and you'll see that there are actually 6 chapters in the MLA section. All these chapters are important, especially for how to avoid plagiarism and integrating sources. Though I'm not covering them today, I'm not saying that they're not important. What I'm going to do with you guys today is help you put notification flags on important pages that you need to find quickly and often. So we're going to go straight to page 115. We're going to start there. So if you could please turn in your books to page 115, 115. And we're going to put a flag here on this green chart. One of the things that happens a lot in writing is that when you integrate sources, we have to signal that we're going to quote something. And a lot of students use signals like Dr. John Smith says, or Dr. John Smith states, or Dr. John Smith asks, right? And we end up using says or states or asks a lot, and it actually gets very monotonous. And you see right here the word monotony. It's repetitious and boring, not only for the reader but also for the writer. So one of the things that this green graph has for you is a whole list of other verbs that you can use besides says or states or asks. It also includes formatting for how to put the signals within the sentence. One of the things I noticed here, and this is very common for students, is that we like to put the signals at the beginning. In the words of researchers Greenfield and Davis, and then we start the quote. As legal scholar J. Keeson has noted, quote, not that that's bad, but if we do it every time, and again, we have the same problem of monotony. It's boring for the reader and the writer. Think about the latest novel that you read, and you'll realize that the signal phrases happen all over the sentence, not just at the beginning. Some of them happen in the middle, which is what you'll see here with the Daniel Tynan. You have the beginning of the quote before, writes Daniel Tynan, and then the rest of the quote at the end. And then the last, sometimes you can have it at the end of the sentence. Here you have the quote, and then you have Attorney Schmidt claims. So I would like to encourage you to not only use new vocabulary words, and if there's any of these that you don't know, you should look them up in the dictionary, but also to rearrange the placement of your signal phrases. So we're going to put a flag here so that we can find this very quickly. And I'm going to label it MLA signals. You can label it whatever you want. And I'm going to put it there at the top like a little flag. So when I close my book, I can find it easily. This is just being a good student and using your resources efficiently, okay? The next page that we need to post a flag on is on page 122. So if you could please go to page 122. You will see a directory of sorts, and it says Directory to MLA in-text citation models. What does that mean? In text means inside your text, inside your essay. So we're actually talking about the parentheses thing that happens at the end of every quote inside of your essay. So this is called in-text citations, also called parenthetical citations. All right, so let's see if we can put a tab here. And we're going to label it MLA. Now, you know, we don't have a lot of space, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put parentheses. And that's going to tell me that if I come here, I'm going to see help on the parentheses. Okay? Now, the way this directory works is it gives you options depending on how you have worked your sentence, depending on the type of work that you have different options. For example, if you put the author's name inside the signal phrase, you don't have to put it in the parentheses. So what we do is, if you have that kind of sentence, author named in a signal phrase, the book is telling you to go look at example number 1 on page 123. Okay, so author named in a signal phrase. Example number 1, page 123. So let's go to 123, look at example number 1, and we see right here, ordinarily introduce the material being cited with a signal phrase that includes the author's name. Okay, so here's an example. Frederick Lane, there's my author, reports that employers can monitor their employees with quote, a hidden video camera pointed at an employee's monitor, quote, and even position a camera, quote, so that a number of monitors can be viewed at the same time, quote. Now here's the parentheses. So you see here, we don't have Lane. Lane is not in the parentheses. That's because Lane is in the sentence. So this is going to help you when you write your essays. If you're using the author's name inside the sentence, then there's no reason to repeat it in the parentheses. You just put the page number that it was found on. And then you have more explanation here. And another example. So this is a very good directory to have and be able to use. Okay, so this is a good one to put a mark on. The next one we need to put a mark on is on page 131. Okay, another little post-it. This one says, Directory to MLA Works Cited Models. Okay, so we have another directory, but this one is to the works cited. Now, those of you who've done MLA before, you should know that works cited is the last page of your essay. This is where the list of all the sources. So this little directory is going to help you with your works cited. MLA works cited. Or you could put last page or whatever makes you happy. Now, the way this directory works is the first 6 items here are giving you help depending on the type of author situation that you have. If you have a source with only 1 author or 2 or 3 authors or 4 or more authors, the rules change. What if you have an organization as an author, like the American Cancer Society? What if you have an unknown author? What if you're quoting from 2 different sources, but both of them are written by the same author? See, everything changes depending on those situations. So you use this to help you find out how to do the sources. So if you have a single author to your source, you go to example 1 on page 133 and see what that looks like. Next section talks about print. Starting with number 7, we see print. Anything that's physically printed. You bought a physical newspaper. You have a book from the library. Encyclopedia from the library. Okay, here's all of the physical sources that you could use. Down around number 31, we start with online sources. So you see here, number 31 is an entire website. For example, if you were quoting from the TAMIU website as a whole. Short work from the website. This is if you're quoting from a document downloaded from the website. Okay. Online journals, magazines, newspapers, and the directory actually continues on to the next page. And you'll see a section here for audio and visual, and then you see a section here for others, just random other things. Now, although this is a very long directory, it does not include every possible source. So please understand that if you find a source out there that's not listed here, you will have to contact your instructor on how to cite it properly in MLA. Okay, so you would follow the example numbers and page numbers and basically do what they tell you to do. Now, one thing that's very important in MLA is you actually, at the very end, MLA now requires the medium. Whether it's print, whether it's from the web, whether it's a DVD, you actually have to type those words out, print or web or DVD. So be very careful to make sure to follow the steps that they're giving you very carefully. Even the punctuation, periods, everything is important. We can't skip out on any of those items. The next page and last page for MLA that we need to mark is on page 155. This is basically the rules. MLA rules. What's the margin? What's the font? Right, here we have font. Titles. How do I do my titles? How do I do my pages? How do I do my margins? How do I do capitals? Capitals in my title. Are all words capitalized or none of them? Or it's very different than APA. What if you have a visual? If you need to put in a graph or a chart or an image, how do you do that in MLA? How do you prepare the works cited page? In alphabetizing it? Indenting? Oh my gosh, we have so many troubles with indenting, right? Web addresses, okay? All of these are rules that we must know and follow. Starting on 159, you see some example MLA papers, and you'll see these numbers in highlighted colors, and they're explained at the bottom of the page. So these are important pages that you need to have for MLA. You need to be able to access them very quickly. So when we put the flags like this, you can find them very quickly. Oh man, I forgot how to do the margins. Okay, that's an MLA rule. Go straight to that flag, look for margins, and you're ready to go. Okay? You need to be proactive regarding MLA and APA. Next, we need to go to APA. The APA section starts on 163. There are 5 chapters in this section. All the chapters are very important. We're going to highlight 4 pages, just like we did for MLA. And they're the same information, but they're the rules for APA instead of MLA. So the first page we need to highlight is on 172. Okay, I'm going to change my color here, just so I can help me differentiate between MLA and APA. And you see we have signal phrases. So I'm going to do the same thing, APA signal. All right. Something you need to see the difference in, signal phrases in APA are very different in MLA because APA requires the year immediately after the author's name. So that's a different rule than MLA. However, they do encourage you to put the signal in different places, not just at the beginning. You can put it in the middle, you can put it at the end. It's better to not have monotony. But for APA, you must put the year immediately after the author's name. The next page we need to mark is page 174. This is just like an MLA. This is your directory for your parentheses, right? APA in text. In text is parentheses. Okay, so we have the same options. It's just telling you how to do that in APA. Next page is 179. I'm sure you're seeing a pattern by now. This is going to be APA. Now, in MLA, it's called works cited. In APA, it's called references. Okay, so you can't put works cited here. You have to put references. But you have the same options. This first section is about authors, and then it goes into print, and then it goes into online, and then it goes into other. Okay, same rules apply. You look at the example number and the page number and follow along. The last page we need to mark is on page 196. And this is a great page about rules, right? APA rules. Same thing. How do you make a title page? Here are the instructions. How do you do the running head? Because remember, APA has a running head where MLA does not. What are the margins and the line spacing? How do I do capitals? Because let me tell you, capitalization in APA is very different than it is in MLA. Footnotes and long quotes. Abstract page. Page 2 of an APA paper should be an abstract page, which is a short summary of the essay. Now, there is no example of an abstract page in this book. So I highly recommend that you go to the TAMU website, go to the Writing Center option, and look under guidelines. And there you will see some APA handouts regarding what an abstract should look like and how to set it up. Every paper should have an abstract. If a professor tells you to use APA, assume that they want an abstract. Never assume that they don't, okay? Because you could lose points. Again, visuals. How do you include visuals in APA? Because it's very different than MLA. And then, once again, you get 2 example papers with the highlighted colors and the explanation at the bottom. So, now that we've done all our flags, we have our MLA and our APA set up. Easy to find, quick references, helping us be more successful students in the course. All right. Thank you so much, and I hope this helped you out. I would love to hear any feedback you might have about it. Thank you.